The most powerful warships on Earth are terrified of something you used this morning. It's not enemy missiles. It's not cyber attacks. It's sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. And that's only the first item on a list that reveals just how paranoid and justified carrier commanders really are. Chewing gum. Seems harmless, right? Something you'd grab at a gas station without a second thought. Not on an aircraft carrier. The Navy treats a single piece of Hubba Bubba the same way they treat a loose bolt falling off a jet engine. Foreign object debris. FOD? That's the official term, and it sounds way more serious than sticky stuff. Here's why they're not overreacting. A carrier catapult launches 45,000-pound aircraft from 0 to 165 miles per hour in 2 seconds. 1 wad of gum gets into that mechanism, you're looking at a jam that costs more than your house, probably more than your whole neighborhood. And it gets worse. Every single day, hundreds of sailors walk shoulder to shoulder across the flight deck, eyes down, scanning for anything that doesn't belong. They call it a FOD walk. Picture your dad making you clean your room, except there's 5,000 people and the room costs $13 billion. Get caught with gum? Extra duty. The fun kind where you're scrubbing something at 3 in the morning. Even nicotine gum is banned. Sailors trying to quit smoking have to use patches instead. But gum isn't the strangest thing that'll get you in trouble up there. Strong cologne might smell nice to you, but on an aircraft carrier, it could literally kill someone. Here's why. Sailors are trained to detect danger through smell, smoke, fuel leaks, burning electrical wires. These warnings come fast, and they come through your nose before anything else. Now, imagine some guy walks into engineering wearing enough Axe body spray to knock out a small village. Suddenly, nobody can smell anything except him. Firefighting teams depend on catching that first whiff of an electrical fire before it spreads through the bulkheads. One person's cologne circulating through the ship's ventilation system, that's not just annoying. That's a genuine safety hazard. The ventilation on these ships is basically one giant recycling system. What you spray in your berthing area ends up in someone else's workspace 30 seconds later. Dozens of sailors, all breathing your fragrance choices. Unscented deodorant, totally fine. Basic soap, no problem. But anything with noticeable fragrance gets shut down immediately. I've heard of sailors being sent back to shower off their cologne before they were allowed on watch. And in engine rooms where distinguishing burning oil from some guy's aftershave could save lives, the rule gets enforced hard. Speaking of things that cause problems in unexpected places, here's where things get ridiculous. Popcorn, the most innocent snack in America. Banned from most of an aircraft carrier. Well, not entirely banned. You can eat it in the ship's theater or mess decks. But bring a bag anywhere near the flight deck? You're in serious trouble. The problem is those unpopped kernels and the little husk fragments. The Navy classifies them as FOD, foreign object debris, the same category as loose screws and dropped wrenches. One kernel gets sucked into an FA-18's jet intake. You're looking at compressor blade damage worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, all because someone wanted a movie snack at their workstation. But wait, it gets better. The smell of popcorn has actually triggered smoke detection systems, false fire alarms on a ship carrying 5,000 people and nuclear-capable aircraft, all because somebody got hungry during their shift. Sailors have received formal reprimands, actual paperwork in their permanent file for bringing popcorn bags to avionics base. During high-tempo flight operations, some commands ban popcorn entirely, ship-wide. My grandfather would have loved this. Back in my day, we got in trouble for real things. Now sailors get written up for snack choices. Speaking of things that seem harmless but aren't, ever wonder why you rarely see beards on carriers? Beards look great. Very distinguished. Very rugged. The Navy doesn't care. If your face has hair and you don't have a medical note, you're shaving. Period. And the reason isn't about looking pretty for inspection photos, it's about staying alive. Gas masks need a perfect seal against your skin. One tiny gap from stubble, and suddenly that chemical attack protection becomes expensive decoration. Your beard just turned into a liability. Now, some sailors do get no-shave chits from medical. Usually guys with a skin condition called pseudofolliculitis barbae, basically severe razor bumps that get infected. But here's the thing. The captain personally reviews every single waiver, and he can yank that permission whenever he wants. Special operations guys sometimes get exceptions too. Cultural reasons during certain deployments, but regular sailors, grab your razor. The funny part is, even approved beards have rules. Quarter-inch maximum length. You're not growing a lumberjack situation out there. More like permanent 5 o'clock shadow that someone's constantly measuring with a ruler. This policy got even stricter after the Navy started taking chemical warfare prep more seriously. But speaking of things that seem harmless until they're absolutely not, wait until you hear why laser pointers are treated like weapons. Shine a laser at an aircraft anywhere in America, and you've just committed a federal crime. Now imagine doing that on a floating airport where jets land every 90 seconds. Yeah, bad idea. Pilots coming in for a carrier landing are already dealing with a moving runway, crosswinds, and about 3 seconds to catch an arresting wire. Temporary blindness from a laser? That's not an inconvenience. That's a crash. The Navy doesn't mess around here. Unauthorized lasers are classified alongside weapons, not similar to weapons, with weapons. Possession alone, not using it, just having it, can result in court-martial. And here's what catches people off guard. That cheap presentation pointer you bought for $10, banned. Those laser cat toys, gone. Rangefinders for golf, not happening. Why so strict? Because telling the difference between a harmless pointer and one that'll blind a pilot requires specialized equipment. Equipment that isn't sitting around on the flight deck during recovery operations. Any laser incident goes straight to the commanding officer. Immediate investigation. No warnings, no second chances. One sailor's boredom with a keychain laser could kill a pilot. The Navy decided that's not a risk worth taking. But lasers aren't the only thing that could melt your career. Certain clothing can literally melt to your skin. Here's where it gets personal. Literally under your clothes. Synthetic fabrics, nylon, polyester, that silky stuff that feels nice, they melt. And when they melt during a fire, they don't just burn. They fuse directly to your skin. The Navy learned this the hard way. Real sailors, real burns. Survivors who made it through the flames but spent months in burn units because their underwear became part of their body. So now, cotton or Nomex only in fire risk areas. Flight deck, engineering, damage control stations, and yes, they check. Before flight operations begin, crew members get gear inspections. That includes what's underneath. Socks, undershirts, everything. It's awkward? Sure, but you know what's more awkward? Explaining to a surgeon why your boxer briefs are now surgically attached to your thighs. Can't afford flame-resistant skivvies? No problem. The Navy provides them through your division. Free, because Uncle Sam would rather buy you fireproof underwear than pay for skin grafts. My grandmother always said you should wear clean underwear in case you're in an accident. The Navy just took that advice and added, also make sure it won't melt. But melting fabric isn't the only invisible danger sailors face. Posting a sunset photo seems harmless. Caption it with your location. You just gave an enemy submarine exactly what it needs. Operational security on carriers is absolute. You cannot mention where the ship is, where it's going, when it might arrive. Nothing. And here's the crazy part. Sailors have been caught by their own fitness apps. In 2017, GPS data from running trackers accidentally revealed carrier patrol routes. Guys were just trying to log their miles, and they basically drew a map for anyone watching. One geotag selfie contains metadata, coordinates, timestamps, enough for adversaries to calculate intercept points. Families back home, they get updates like somewhere in the Pacific. That's it. Vague on purpose. The Navy monitors social media constantly. They've discharged sailors for seemingly innocent posts, a photo of a meal with a porthole view, a complaint about the weather. Small details that intelligence analysts piece together like a puzzle. But wait, it gets stricter. Even after returning to port, you still can't talk about where you've been. Previous locations stay classified for weeks. Your deployment stories have to wait. And if you think keeping location secret is intense, wait until you hear what the Navy does about your internet connection. So you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean, internet slower than dial-up, and you just want to watch Netflix without buffering. Simple fix, right? Download a VPN. Wrong move. Ship networks are classified government systems. The moment you route traffic through some external server in who knows where, you've committed a cybersecurity violation. Doesn't matter if you just wanted to stream a movie. Here's what makes VPNs dangerous on a carrier. They create encrypted tunnels that Navy cybersecurity teams can't see through. If data's leaking off that ship, they'd have no idea. And the scary part? A sailor switching between systems could accidentally drag classified information through that tunnel without even realizing it. Network administrators run regular scans specifically hunting for this stuff. VPN clients get flagged immediately. Sailors have actually faced non-judicial punishment just for having the software installed, not for stealing secrets, not for leaking anything, just for having the capability. And it's not only VPNs. Privacy browsers like Tor, same deal. Anything that masks where your data's going is treated like a security threat. I get it. Ship internet is painful, but the Navy would rather you suffer through buffering than open a backdoor for foreign intelligence. Speaking of things that seem harmless but aren't, fire at sea is the nightmare that keeps every captain awake. There's nowhere to run. No fire department coming. Just you, your shipmates, and a floating city made of jet fuel and ammunition. So candles? Absolutely not. Incense? Forget it. Even matches require special authorization. The USS Forrestal Fire in 1967 killed 134 sailors and destroyed 21 aircraft in minutes. That disaster rewrote every fire policy in the Navy. And honestly, it should have. Here's something that surprised me. For years, even battery-operated flameless candles were banned. Why? Because during fire drills, sailors would see the flickering light and waste precious seconds investigating a fake flame while real emergencies needed attention. Religious services still happen aboard carriers, but chaplains use LED alternatives for ceremonies. No exceptions. And incense smoke? That triggers the ship's hypersensitive detection systems instantly. One stick of sandalwood, and suddenly you've got alarms blaring across 3 decks while damage control teams scramble to find a fire that doesn't exist. Makes sense when you think about it. False alarms breed complacency. Complacency kills. But controlling fire is one thing. Controlling what sailors take home as memories, that's a whole different battle. Here's the thing about souvenirs. Every sailor wants one. A spent shell casing, a piece of arresting wire, maybe a cool nameplate from some panel nobody uses anymore. Take it and you've just committed theft of federal property. Sounds dramatic, right? It's not. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, every single bolt, screw, and scrap of metal on that ship belongs to Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam keeps receipts. Sailors have been court-martialed over instrument panel placards, actual legal proceedings, over a placard. But here's where it gets serious. Anything with operational markings, that's not just theft anymore. That's potentially revealing classified information about weapon systems. NCIS doesn't mess around with this stuff. They've tracked down stolen property years after a sailor separated from the Navy. The good news? The Navy isn't completely heartless. Ship stores sell official patches, coins, and memorabilia, legitimate memories you can actually keep without risking your career. My advice? Buy the coffee mug, skip the borrowed deck plate. Now, stealing government property is one thing, but there's another seemingly innocent habit that can cause hundreds of millions in damage, and it involves something you probably have plugged in right now. Your phone's at 3%. You're exhausted. You spot an outlet near your rack. Simple fix, right? Not so fast. Aircraft carriers run on 2 different electrical systems, 60 hertz in some areas, 400 hertz in others. Plug your cheap Amazon charger into the wrong one, and you've just created a fire starter. And here's the thing about lithium-ion battery fires. They're fast. They're hot. They spread through metal corridors like gossip through a small town. The Navy's documented multiple incidents fleet-wide from personal charging equipment gone wrong. Remember the USS Miami submarine fire in 2012? One ignition point, over $400 million in damage. Ship never sailed again. That wasn't even a charger, but it proved how quickly things spiral in confined spaces. So what's allowed? Navy-approved power strips only. Designated charging areas in berthing. Regular electrical inspections where everything unauthorized gets confiscated. And no, you're not getting that charger back. Repeat offenders? They lose device privileges entirely. Your captain doesn't care that you were just trying to watch Netflix before your shift. Makes sense when you think about it. 5,000 people living inside a floating city that also happens to be a weapons platform. But electrical fires aren't the only thing that can spread through a ship in seconds. Lockout or tagout. Sounds like corporate safety jargon, right? On an aircraft carrier, bypassing it is one of the fastest ways to end your career or your life. Here's how it works. Before you touch any equipment for maintenance, you physically shut it off, lock it, and attach a tag with your name. That tag tells everyone else, don't touch this. Someone's inside. Simple system. Life or death consequences. Because energy on a carrier isn't just electricity. It's hydraulic pressure that can crush you flat. Steam lines running hot enough to strip flesh from bone in seconds. Compressed air that'll take your arm off. Stored mechanical tension waiting to release. And the weird part? Removing someone else's tag without permission is a crime by itself. Even if nothing bad happens. The tag is basically a legal document saying, I am currently inside this machine. Please don't blend me. Sailors have died because someone got impatient and flipped a switch early. Others lost limbs when hydraulics activated unexpectedly. Commands run random audits. Division officers get personally blamed if their sailors skip steps. No excuses accepted. It's the ultimate measure twice, cut once rule. Except here, cutting once without measuring might mean cutting off someone's hand. Speaking of hands, there's something sailors do with them that's been banned for centuries. Whistling, that's it. Just whistling a tune while you work. Turns out the Navy has a problem with it. And no, it's not because your singing voice is terrible, though it probably is. Here's the thing. Boatswain's pipes have been used on ships for centuries to transmit orders. High-pitched whistles that cut through engine noise and chaos. They're still used today on carriers for official announcements, watch changes, even man overboard calls. So when some sailor starts whistling Sweet Home Alabama in the engine room, people genuinely can't tell if that's an order or just bad musical taste. And the weird part is, superstition still plays a role. Old sailors believed whistling whistled up a storm. Sounds ridiculous, right? But try whistling around a crusty chief petty officer. You'll get shut down faster than a recruit at a bar. The practical reason matters more. In spaces like combat information centers, any sound that mimics a signal creates confusion. During drills, that confusion costs time. On a ship with 5,000 people and nuclear-capable aircraft, even sound discipline becomes serious business. New sailors laugh at this rule until they witness a drill go sideways because someone's tune sounded like a pipe call. But sharing your badge? That's not superstition. That's federal offense territory. Your badge isn't just plastic with your face on it. It's a digital key that opens specific doors based on exactly what you're cleared to see. Lend it to a buddy so he can grab something from a restricted space? Congratulations. You just committed a security violation that looks identical to espionage on paper. And here's the thing. Investigators don't care why you did it. Convenience and treason start the same way in the security logs. Every swipe gets recorded. Every single one. So when your badge opens a door in engineering while 3 people saw you eating lunch on the mess deck, that triggers an automatic review. The computer doesn't assume your friend borrowed it for innocent reasons. Historical spy cases have started exactly like this. Casual badge sharing between trusted friends. The Navy learned that lesson the expensive way. Lost your badge? Report it immediately. An unaccounted access card floating around a ship with 5,000 people is treated like an active security threat until deactivated. Rank doesn't protect you either. An admiral using an ensign's badge to access spaces above their clearance commits the same violation as anyone else. But security isn't just about where you go. It's also about something way more basic. Sleep. You'd think where you sleep is your own business. Nope, not on a carrier. There's actually a rule about keeping your rack curtain closed during sleep hours. Sounds ridiculous until you remember that 5,000 people live on this ship and they're working every hour of the day and night. Someone's always sleeping. Someone's always awake. That curtain is the only thing separating the two. Here's where it gets serious. After the USS Fitzgerald collision in 2017 that killed 7 sailors, investigations found crew members were working 100-hour weeks, exhausted. The Navy completely overhauled its approach to rest. Now, sleep isn't optional, it's a safety requirement. An open curtain lets light and noise hit the guy who just finished a 12-hour shift. He doesn't sleep well. Tomorrow, he's handling ordnance or directing aircraft. See the problem? Chiefs actually inspect for this. It's not a suggestion. Give get caught with sloppy curtain discipline, and leadership starts questioning your whole division standards. New sailors laugh when they hear this one. A rule about curtains? Really? But after everything we've covered, from gum to laser pointers to melting underwear, you probably get it now. On an aircraft carrier, there's no such thing as a small rule.